This is the Advanced Selling Podcast.
I meditate. I light a candle, I burn the Northwest.
The aim of this podcast is to help business sales teams grow their business with modern strategies and philosophies. Now your hosts, Bill Caskey and Brian Neal.
Okay, topic today.
Yep, we're going to talk about process, and we look for themes, and these themes come from our.
Process.
You don't think that you think it's boring?
No.
It's not process. It's very, very common. So here's where it came from. I've got multiple clients this week who have dealt with situations where they are out of the loop in the decision-making process. So simply put, they say, okay, I've got to take this to my boss. I've got to take this to committee. We've got to decide. It's decision by committee. Our entry point is not the person. So
Right.
I've got one client that's calling on a law firm.
Yep.
And the law firm partners all get together, but we're not in the meeting. Another one that's calling on a group where it's controlled by an agency, and the agency won't let us through to the end customer. So
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about, one, how to prevent that, first and foremost, and then second, what do we do when we're stuck, when we're there, if we could. So, and you can just sit and listen.
That's a common, no, it's a, and I will, because I'm anxious to hear what you're going to say. But that is a common one, because as decision processes get more elaborate and more people at the customer site want to be involved, and it used to be that, all those decisions, well, not all of them, but a lot of them were pushed down to the field and decentralized. And now I find with the recession and with people a little bit more sensitive, all that stuff goes back upstairs. So, or at least it's influence. So, yeah, it's good. I like that topic.
Can we start with how to prevent that? How to not have that stuff happen in the future? And then we'll talk about what to do once we're stuck. So the easiest, and it's not easy, but it's the easiest thing to do, is to make it part of your personal sales process, that when you get to this stage where you're talking about, okay, how's the decision going to go down, that we say to them, the way we work or our process entails at this point, we're going to want to interact with anyone who's going to be influenced or have a stake in what we do here. So if you're getting a new phone system, we're going to want to talk to a few different people. That typically includes the following. We're going to want to at some point interact with the CFO, because there's a financial element to this. We're going to want to meet with your CIO at some point, your president or VP of marketing, someone at that level that has a perspective of how this is going to impact outside. And we're going to want to talk to a couple users too at some point. And so I tell people that's how we roll, and that's how the process works. The big word that we like, I think, that softens everything, is the word perspective.
Yeah.
That I want to get everyone's perspective.
That's critical.
It's mandatory. The perspective part takes it away from, well, I need to talk to your boss because I know you're really not the decision maker. Your boss is, so I'm going to go around you. That makes everyone squirrely.
If it sounds like that, then it won't work. So if it sounds like you're trying to get over, around, through, it won't work. And yet, I know sometimes we say to ourselves, no, I really need to talk to the decision makers and other people in the room because I want to get their perspective. If it even sounds like you're trying to get around the buyer, you'll be you'll be done.
And let's talk about how to not make something sound that way.
Okay.
Is you have to feel that way.
Yeah.
That's the inner game part of this. So we talk, you heard us talk over and over about intent. Our intent cannot be to go around. We cannot, even when we're looking at the deal from a coaching standpoint, and we're back in the conference room going, okay, what do we do with whatever account? We can't say, we've got to find a way to get around Sue Johnson.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you say that, all your activity, your behavior, your language, and your behavior will all, she'll pick it up real fast.
But that's not what usually happens.
No.
What usually happens is we find ourselves in a position where we're on the outside looking in to the decision process, and the prospect says to us, oh, sorry, Brian, thanks for the offer, but I can handle this myself. I have a meeting every week with a CEO, and I'll bring it up at our next meeting. The problem is you have no idea how he or she brings that up.
No,
it may be just a casual conversation. Hey, do you want to buy $1 million worth of new stuff? No? Okay. Yeah, Brian, I talked to our CEO, and he just wasn't really very interested.
Yeah.
So you don't know, you can't, the question is, how can you be in the room without being in the room?
Yep.
And I don't know the answer to that.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
So we talked about how to prevent a little bit. Let's talk about what to do once we're there, okay? So let's take so the first piece of advice I'd give before we got there was to bring up, let's say I'm in the middle and I've not brought this subject up at all. I've not said we want to get other people's perspective. So it's going to be a surprise to my current contact.
Okay.
All right. Then I'm going to say, hey, at this point, the more I thought about this, the more I am compelled to want to sit down with you and a couple different people to get some different perspective on things, because I really want to make sure what I'm bringing here is going to take all that into account. So would it be okay with you if the two of us went and talked to, pick one, the CEO and or the IT director? Here's what I want to ask them personally with you in the room too. And I just want to tell them sort of where we're at and have you there and have us all together. If you don't want to do that, you're not comfortable, that's fine. I get it, no problem. So just like we do all through the sales process, I make it okay for that person to say no. I create some space there so they don't feel pressure to do it as one particular idea.
So at what point do you say, if I can't get there, I quit?
Yeah, that is a very, to me, it starts with a personal decision. And so your inner game, your funnel, just where you are, is
all that stuff enters into it.
Yeah, it's going to determine whether or not you want to do that. And then it's a risk management thing for me. It's just like having a portfolio of stocks where if you proceed without doing that, you know where you're exposed. If I'm going to leave my chips on the table and I'm going to hold my Enron stock, I know what could happen. Well, maybe I don't, but see that?
So maybe the analysis then that a salesperson does is decide how much of a stance I want to take.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that and we just had this situation at an accounting firm we work with, and they have this situation, happens a lot. CFO says, you know what, I'll take it to the CEO. And what we found out today was that the CEO pays a price if he is not involved in this discussion. So you've got to decide, is this discussion really about buying the product from you, or is it about understanding the problems they have so you can recommend a better solution? Hopefully it's B.
It's got to be B.
It's got to be B.
Yep, must be.
I'm a B. I'm a B.
Two B's in a pod.
Two B's in a pod. Oh, we can't.
We can't talk about that yet.
So
that's where, and then you do case by case, sort of how you're feeling, and you can draw a line in the sand, and sometimes that ends the deal. And you can also proceed further, and sometimes deals happen when you proceed without seeing the CEO, where you get the call from the VP that says, "Hey, congratulations, you got the deal." You go, "Great." So,
okay, so let's talk about what happens if you can't get there. You've made that case, and the prospect is resisted, and for whatever reason you just so now you literally are on the outside looking in. And I don't like that position to be in, because I think that implies that you haven't done a very good job up front, but you do get there sometimes. So then what?
So then we move to what I would call rehearsal with my contact or my prospect that I do have a relationship with. And then I want to say, would it be okay if we ran through, I would love to hear how you're going to present this, so I can feel it like the CEO is going to feel it and take it in, and maybe give you some advice on how to tweak it, make it sound better, make sure the things you're talking are things that if I were with you that I'd want to communicate there.
That's good.
And play it out.
Make them talk about it.
Bring it back out to you as an idea.
And what do you say? Okay, so let's play it out. So you're going to say to me, Bill, how are you going to present this in so many words? And I'm going to say, well, Brian, it's real simple. I'm going to tell him that we have to do this, and if we don't spend this money, we're idiots.
Yeah. How's he going to respond to that? Because I know
he'll spend the money.
He will. Really? Okay. Quite frankly, that makes me nervous. I mean, if I'm given odds,
you're telling me that?
Yeah, I'm saying 2 out of 10, which might be fine. I mean, if that's where you are and you're comfortable with that, then maybe we're at a different place too. But I'm going to pull back away from that personally.
So you didn't like my answer. I'm out of roll. You didn't like my answer, so you're going to back up and you're going to try again? You're going to discuss it?
I could. And I might say, what if? Now, what if? Now, would you be comfortable saying this? Or I'd want to know why. If they were going that direction, say that. If I'm a CEO and I try to think like that, I feel like a CEO would want to know more, wouldn't they?
Yeah, right.
And pick around that a little bit.
Oh, he trusts me. He trusts me to do the due diligence, and he does pretty much everything I say.
Okay. Good enough. Do you want to bet on it?
I mean, you're getting...
Because I bet he's going to say no. I'm just telling you straight up, and I want to be helpful here. So,
yeah, I think let's talk about the salesperson's role in this whole discussion. I think your role is to, like you said, rehearse them, but also to play devil's advocate and think of the things the CEO will say that. Because it's never easy. It's never that easy. And yet, how many times do we hear, oh, no, he does what? That's why he pays me to make these decisions. Oh, yeah, okay. I hear that all the time. So I think the question is, what role do you want to play in that? And hopefully you want to play the role that prepares him for that meeting intelligently, so that when the CEO does say, why would we spend $1 million on that, he has something to come back with.
Yeah, exactly. AdvancedSellingPodcast.com is the website. You can also find us at Twitter at @bneil, at @Caskey. And find us on LinkedIn, Brian Neal, Bill Caskey. We'd love to hook up with you there, and we will see you next time.
Okay, see ya. Bye.